you say measurement, that means that you are referring to the size or the length of something. There are different tools that you can use to measure. We are going to be using the ruler to measure, but keep in mind that there are other things that you can use, and we'll get to that in a second. This is called a fabric tape measurer, okay, and it can measure fabric, of course, but it can also measure waist size and all that good stuff. But this is just another method that you can use to measure, and it's more flexible. But like I was saying before, we are going to use the ruler for measurement. A ruler is defined as a straight strip of plastic, wood, metal, or other rigid material marked at regular intervals to draw straight lines or measure distances. So we have inches on the top. I'm going to show you what that looks like. IN means inches, and then we have centimeters on the bottom. Now, I am aware that not all of us have rulers with us. I didn't even have a ruler either. I actually had to grab this out of my classroom, but there are other items that you can use to measure with. There are some ways that you can do centimeters as well. You can use your pointer finger to represent 1 centimeter. You can also use a bigger nail clipper, but this side of it, to represent 1 centimeter. Both of those will work. Another tip on measuring items: to successfully measure the items, you want to keep them above the number so you can see how long that item is. If I were to put my pen underneath these lines, I wouldn't be able to see the length of my pen, and I wouldn't know where to start. I wouldn't know where the 0 is. So you always want to put it beside the ruler so you're able to measure that. All right, so this week we are measuring in centimeters. Last week we did inches, and this week we are going to measure in centimeters. That's why we have our cm right there. So now our objects are going to go on this side of our ruler. So we are going to pick 2 items to measure in centimeters. Let's go ahead and start off with one of our letter tiles. We've got M for measurement. Let's see. So we always start at the beginning of our object, right? The very, very end on that 0. It's very important that we line it up with that 0 line right there, okay? Let's see. Our M measures out to be, ooh, that's a close one. What do you guys think? I think it's safe to say it's either 2.5 centimeters, or you can go ahead and round it up to that 3 centimeters, okay? So you would write 3 cm if you were measuring your letter tile. All right, let's choose something else. How about our marker? So we'll have to hold our marker because it rolls, right? But we'll want to line it up on this side. You want to line it up on the very, very end. Okay, our marker is about 12.5 centimeters, because that's where it ends, is at the 12.5 mark. So you can write 12.5 centimeters or 12.5 cm. Keep in mind that you can use whatever object you would like to measure. You can choose any 2 objects from your house that can fit next to the ruler. We are moving on to our leafy measurement. This is going to be completed throughout the entire week. So we're only going to do 2 today, and then we'll continue the rest of them throughout the week. So this is leafy measurement. I've got week 3, day 2, but go ahead and ignore that. We are in week 5 right now. So it says directions: measure the following leaves in centimeters. So we're going to start with number 1. What I really like about this is it has lines that go from the beginning of the leaf all the way to the end of the leaf. So that will help us with our measurement today. So let's go ahead and line up. Remember, we are using centimeters to measure. So we are starting from the 0. I'm lining it up the best I can with that line on the paper. Okay, so this is the line with the 0, and let's count all the way to the end of the leaf. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like our line ends at 5. So our leaf is 5 centimeters. So we are going to write 5, and it already has the label right there, CM. It's about 5 centimeters. Keep in mind that you can also use your finger to measure, and that equals a centimeter, or you can use the end of the big fingernail clip to measure. Both of those equal a centimeter. Just make sure you mark where you're at each time that you're moving those fingernail clippers or your finger. Moving on to number 2, we'll have to move our paper to be able to line up with our ruler. So let me show you what that looks like. So I put my paper sideways to be able to measure this leaf. So once again, we are lining up our lines with the leaf lines, and we're trying to make those as straight as we possibly can. Kind of line those up perfectly as best we can. All right, so our 0 lines up at the beginning of our leaf. That's where that line is with our 0. And then we go all the way to the end, and then we have a 10 that lines up with our line down here. Let's count that out together. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 centimeters. So we are going to write 10 centimeters in our blank. All right, so I turned our paper back, and we are going to put 10 centimeters. And that was number 1 and number 2. We'll continue leafy measurement throughout the week. Good job on our measurement today. Our activity today is week 5, day 1 math. It's using a bar graph. So the directions say, look at the bar graph below. Each square represents 1 child. Then answer the questions about the bar graph. So you won't be creating a graph this time. You're just going to answer questions about that graph. So we'll do number 1 together, and then I want you to do the rest, okay? Number 1, which sport was the favorite sport? So you're gonna look at your graph and you're gonna see, okay, which sport was the favorite? And you got some options down here. Was it basketball, baseball, soccer, and football? I like how they have the visuals here so you can kind of match up your visuals. Let's see, basketball didn't quite have the most. Let's see, soccer didn't have the most favorites. Ooh, baseball looks really big, and then football didn't have the most. I'm gonna go ahead and say baseball because they had the most. See, no one else has as much as baseball. So we are going to circle baseball on the bottom. So baseball was the favorite sport, and that's your activity for today.